Hey, what's up, you guys? I'm back with another video to talk about my time on Mars. Pretty crazy stuff. In the last video, I talked about the basics, the surface of Mars, electromagnetic radiation, the phases of the moon, all that cool stuff. Well, this week, we did some pretty crazy stuff on Mars. We visited some planets, my very excellent mother just served up noodles, the usual stuff. But I've been pretty confused about comets and asteroids and meteors, because, honestly, I've just been living my life assuming they were all the same. But yeah, they're not. So let's just go over the basics, because I know y'all don't know anything either. So first up is comets. They're the ones that are pretty giant. They're typically a few kilometers in size. They're made up of ice and dust because they're super far away from the sun. And the dust is from the creation of the solar system, so they're super old. We can see them from Earth, but they look like they move super slow since they're just so far away. And they don't produce their own light. They just reflect sunlight. Yeah, and they don't enter the solar system super often since their orbits are really elliptical. They're like big long ovals. But if they do, they just kind of zip on the outskirts and then go away, which is very sad. You've probably heard of Halley's Comet, which is a short period comet that enters our solar system every 76 years, so we'll see her again in 2061. Next up is asteroids. They're also remnants of the solar system, so they're kind of sisters of the comets. Except they actually live in our solar system, so they don't dip out all the time. They don't come in to mooch off mom and just, steal the spotlight every 100 years. But anyways, they're pretty close by. They live in between Mars and Jupiter in the aptly named asteroid belt, which is not very creative. We can see them move very slowly across our sky, and their light also comes from the sun, so just like comets. It really just seems like they're comets, but kind of closer. But they're usually a little bit smaller. They're less than a kilometer in size, and they're more rocky than comets, with the three major types being carbon-rich, metallic, and silicate. And then last up on the docket is meteors, which is kind of like the forgotten little siblings of comets and asteroids, but they come from the illegitimate father. So they're tiny little grains of sand and dust. They're super tiny, like centimeters, or less than a centimeter. And they typically just burn up in the Earth's atmosphere, which is where their light comes from, rather than being a reflection of sunlight. And they're formed when either an asteroid comes across Earth's orbit, or when Earth crosses a cloud of debris left by a comet. Very rude of comets and asteroids, but you know what? We get meteors out of it, and they're our friends, because we call them shooting stars, and we like to make wishes on them. And sometimes they hit Earth, and they're called meteors, which I guess we don't like. I think there's a famous one, something about dinosaurs and something like that. I don't know. But yeah, pretty crazy stuff I learned about. Long story short, comets are the ones that are far away. They're kind of cold and icy. They only visit every once in a while. Asteroids are a little bit closer. They're more rocky. And meteors are our tiny little friends that visit us sometimes. It's not as complicated as I originally thought, honestly. But, yeah, that's it for today. I'll see you guys in the next one. The next video about, life on Mars. The series where I update. Yeah, you know what? Whatever. Bye, guys.